So let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earning for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future we can't vanish. It's 325 any day, that's stellar. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, thank and bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football, and welcome back to another episode of TACT-EAGLE, and a very special episode, because this is the first TACT-EAGLE of the Conference League, our first ever time looking into a team that isn't... Huh?
League phase.
What did I say?
The Conference League. We played Fredrikstad.
Into the league phase of the Conference League, where we are playing Dynamo Kyiv, I believe it's pronounced. It's not Kiev, it's Kyiv. But it's not actually in Kyiv, it's in Lublin. So, we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about the attack, the defense. We're just going to go through absolutely everything revolved around Dynamo Kyiv. Dan, how are you? Are you excited? Because you are going.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of the penny kind of dropped when I left work today. Obviously now officially on annual leave. It's finally kind of sinking in. It's like, I never thought I'd see the day that Crystal Palace play in Europe. Like, I know we played in the Intertoto Cup or the Anglo-Italian Cup. Okay, fine. But like proper UEFA, proper competition. Okay. And you know what? I just never thought I'd see the day. And I think it could be anywhere in Europe, and I'll be very excited. Except maybe if it was in like Cardiff or something. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'll be there until Saturday. Obviously, if anyone sees me, please, you're obviously more than welcome to come and speak to me. In fact, I quite like it if you did. And yeah, I'm good.
That if you go to speak to Dan, he will ask you, "Do you comment though?"
And do you subscribe?
Yeah, are you subscribe and do you comment though? I think an early prediction from me, Dan. You will need a big coat because it's currently 0 degrees in Lublin.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need the big coat. I mean, I can't really say I'm surprised, to be honest. Like, you think like Eastern Europe, October, first away game of the league phase is probably going to be Baltic, although it's not in the Baltics.
It's not in the minuses yet. It could be, but it's not yet. I think. Yeah, let's get straight into it. We kind of touched on excitement and this and that.
How are you, JC?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I wish I was going, but one, I couldn't get the flights for cheap enough, and two, I couldn't get time off work. So, a bit upset, but it is what it is.
I'm sure you could get a cheap flight now, and you could. I thought you caught COVID today, didn't you?
Oh man. Yeah. Oh man, Dan. I don't know if I can continue to stream, man. I gotta go.
Yeah, so you do look pretty ill.
I look very pale, but I am white,
you do.
so it does make sense. But still,
I mean, yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Let's do some predicted 11s. So, injuries. First up, we have got Dynamo. And I don't know why. I don't like Kyiv. Ever since someone told me it was Kyiv, I don't like it. Kiev seems more normal to me. I don't know if
that's because we eat chicken Kievs. So now you got to call it chicken Kyiv.
I don't eat chicken keys. I eat chicken goujons, lad.
Oh, goujons.
Dynamo
Get your
Goujon.
goujons out. Dynamo
Wait.
Goujon.
They've only got one injury, and that's a centre back called Popov, who's got a calf injury, and he won't be back for this game. Basically, all of their
Guess
other.
he popped off.
Dan's just popped off himself, hasn't he?
As soon as you did that look, and I could see you moving your arm, I knew it was coming.
Oh yeah. But going to Crystal Palace, the same injuries apply. We have got Kayla Kapora with a back injury, no return date. Chet Decore out of a knee injury, will be back on the 8th of the 11th. Chaddy Riad will be back on the 22nd of the 11th. Walter Benitez is back for this game because his finger has healed. Other than that, all good. So, let's get into it. I know Oliver Glasner, and I know Oliver Glasner will not change the team at all because he wants to go as strong as possible. So here's what I've gone with. I reckon it'll be pretty much the same team. Henderson in goal, Gay, Lacroix, Richards with Mitchell Munoz, Kamada, and Adam Wharton in the middle with Pino, Sarr, and John Philippe Mateta up top. Do you agree, Dan, or do you think you'll play the likes of Canvo and this and that?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. The only changes I could see him Whoa, who's that? The only
I don't have Canvo on the bench.
Oh, fair enough. The only players I could see maybe he changes around, possibly Benitez, if he's back from injury, because I feel like he seems to be our cup goalkeeper. The only other things he might do, I think he might play Sosa instead of Mitchell, but based on recent performances, I'm not too sure. And possibly just for this game, maybe he does play Canvo over Richards. For reasons that maybe I'll talk about later.
Okay, but would you play Kamada there, or would you play Hughes?
I'd probably still play Kamada, to be honest. Like you say, I think Glasser's the kind of guy who will just, and also first game in the league phase, you want to set the tone, you want to make a statement. I agree. I think he'll go strong.
100%. And I think with how they play, I think we do need to be very strong in our lineup because yes, the quality for us might be there over their team, but they are an extremely physical team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So for Dynamo, they play in a 4-1-4-1 formation. It's not the most fluid formation in the world, but basically these 2 8s, they are very much, I wouldn't say roaming, but they're very much, if this team's attacking, the 8s will be like this. If they're defending, the 8s will be like this.
Mm-hmm.
So in a weird way, it's kind of 4-3-3, but on the team sheet it says 4-1-4-1.
Yeah, and to be fair, they do that. That is pretty much how they are off the ball.
So what I've done is I have put all of their names there, and I'm going to attempt to go through them. So in goal, we've got Morhan. On left back, we've got Dublin Chak. At centre back, we've got Tiari. Other centre back, we've got Bilovar. At right back, we've got Karavavev. Number 6, unpronounceable. I'm not even going to try. I didn't even write his name down. Left wing, we've got Ugandana. In number 10, we've got Oh man,
Shaparenko.
Shaparenko. Number 8, we've got Pick Al Yonoko.
You're not.
Pilanyok. Right wing, number 9, we've got Voloshin. And up top, we've got Blanuta.
I think you know what, fair play. I think that was very good going.
Yeah. Dan, can you go through the bench?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try my best. Inatenko, Viv Cherenko, Yatsik, a familiar face that we will know, Yarmolenko, obviously former West Ham player, Burtnik, Rybczynski, Boyalski, Mikhavko, Vakarachenko, Neshcheret, and Mikhalenko. Yeah.
Nice.
Also, worth pointing out that their manager is Shovkovsky, who you may remember from his Ukraine international days in the Euros.
Yeah, not me. Anyway, let's do some comments. So, we got Rich here saying drop a like. Also, early prediction: Dan's going to be waved in the vlog. Dan is doing a vlog.
Yes.
He will show you his passport when he goes through the when he goes through all the metal detectors and stuff. And he did you see Opta has us 8th in the world in their club's rankings at the moment?
People are hyping us too much, man.
You know what I said
this
to
isn't
Rich?
Good for us.
I said this one thing to Rich, and he said, "No, people won't do that." But I have seen people do it. I said to him before the Liverpool game, I said, "Look, if we beat these guys, amazing. But I know for a fact people are going to start saying Leicester, and people have started doing it."
Well, yeah, so they already have, I think.
And I said, "No, that's too much pressure.
No.
It's not going. One is not going to happen, and 2, it's just too much pressure on our players."
Yeah. And I just think once I know this is really negative, but once the Thursday, Sunday football really kicks in, I know we've already done it twice, but once it really kicks in cumulatively over time, when you get to December, January, and then you got even more midweek games because that's the time of year it is. Got the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. If we get that far, it's a lot of games, and cumulatively players get knackered. For example, look at the beginning of last season when JP looked knackered, and because he had the summer. Imagine that amount of games for all our players by January, February. As much as I want to think it, I can't see it.
Spirit says up the Palace. Earth says big up Dan and JC. Can't wait to see baby JC in Palace colours. He's already got all the shirts. I'll say that. Millsy says big up. See everyone SSN and TalkSport doing their best to get Glasner out of Selhurst Park ASAP and get him to United. It's all just nonsense talk. I saw TalkSport post a video of Glasner and Matthew McConaughey having a chat, and then literally the caption of the whole thing is, "When are you going to sell us Mark Gay?" And I'm thinking, wow, very mature TalkSport, very mature. There's a reason why you're called Talk. Yeah. Yeah. Play the strongest lineup as possible. I don't trust Kiev will roll over. Yeah, exactly. It's true. An amazing maneuver will be for Glasgow to step down. Strong start. Who's going? Only Dan's going, but hopefully the rest of us will do a watch along. They got chairman. Dan will be there Thursday. I'll vlog it. Jason Chan. I'll both at Strasbourg and Shelbourne.
I'll be at those two. I'll be at those two as well.
Yeah, I think we're meeting Dan in Strasbourg.
I'm meeting them in Strasbourg, and then we a few of us are going to Shelbourne
in Ireland.
Yeah.
So there will be top and tail, but nothing else, Dan. So stay away. 6. I'm going to say that's
Volodymyr
6 pints,
Grajko.
please. I'm going to assume that says 6 pints, please. And finally, Earth says, that's cool. Hope Dan's verdict on the beers, burgers, and pies.
I think because it's Poland, oh no, there's no good way of saying this, but because it's Poland, it'll probably be a lot of sausage reviews.
Ooh.
There is no, unfortunately, there's no good way to say that. So yeah, if you thought that, yeah.
Big pause right there.
But let's just say, like, they've got Polish beers that obviously you'll see in the off license and whatnot. They've got them on tap, and they're literally like a couple of quid for a pint.
I do like a Tisk. I'm not gonna lie.
I do like a Tiski as well. And then I might try and find out how to actually pronounce like some of them that I know I can't pronounce. Like if anyone can pronounce Zvishek, that would be very handy.
Yeah. All right, let's go into how these men attack. So, how they attack. One thing I want to say before we really get going in this is because of the war, I don't want to get all political in this, but because of the war, there have been a lot of their top players leaving the league. Obviously, you've got the main one, which is Mudryk, who left Shakhtar to go to Chelsea. A lot of that money, some of it went into the war effort, blah, blah, blah. But then you had other people like De Zerbi leaving to go to Brighton, and you had all the some other good coaches, other good players. And I think the last one that just happened was, I think it was the winger Kevin just went to Fulham, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
from Shakhtar as well. So unfortunately, because of that, all of the really good, high quality players have left the league, which has made the league the levels go down a bit. I did a bit more research, and I think there's actually every game that happens in the Ukrainian league, they're only allowed to kick off if they've got a certain amount of people in the stadium. Because if I think it's something like if the air raid siren goes off, everyone can fit into the bunker. So they're not actually allowed to sell all their stadiums at full capacity at the moment because of it, which is crazy.
Wow.
But that's only in the league. For the conference league, they're playing in Lublin, so obviously there's not going to be that problem. But I'm not sure that unless they've got Kyiv fans living in Poland or living in Lublin, I don't think there's going to be that many of their fans there, because will they be allowed to make the trek over the border to go watch football? I highly doubt it. I
mean, I think, to be honest, I know that there are a lot of Ukrainian refugees in Poland, but I know that I think Kiev only average like maybe a couple of thousand for their home games. To be honest, that's why we got so much, because their stadium's only 15,000, so that's why we got so many. And not only were we given so many to begin with, we were then last minute given even more, which are still on sale, by the way. But yeah.
But because of that, obviously, because the good players are gone, they've had to go back into some ex-players, which is why you see the likes of Yarmolenko kicking about around there. But even though they might not have the most technically gifted players in that league, they are a very physical league now. I wouldn't say it's like the Championship. I'd say it's like League One, League Two. Not level, but kind of players where you've got just absolute monsters all over the pitch. So their starting 11 that I've got on the pitch here, the shortest player is number 8, and he is 5'8". Literally everyone else on that pitch is 6'1" or over. And that's literally everyone else. So they are a very big team. So set pieces is one thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit more later. But physically, they want to dominate the other team. So I already spoke about it just a little bit earlier. Let's get these teams sorted out a little bit. So when they have the ball, I need a ball. There we go. That's very small. Big ball. Cool. They're a team that has a very distinct playing style. And one of them, and the main thing for me, is their wingers. Their wingers will always run within this area. They will not stray outside of where the box is. So this area out here, you'll never see their winger there. Their wingers will always be within the confines of the opposition box. This is because both of their wingers are inverted wingers. So this guy on the right wing is left-footed, and this guy on the left wing is right-footed. So, pardon me. The main goal for them is to run these channels on the inside and try and score goals to either the far or the near post, which, teams in the Premier League do that all the time. Only issue is that I think they might find, and that will be a big help for us, is that we do play a 5/3 back. So instead of them in these current positions, let's say we did have a 4 back, for example, you can see that all 3 of these players have got their own half space to run into, which is within the confines of the box. But because we are a 3-back team / 5-back team, or however you want to talk about it, they're not going to have their own ways to run in. So they're either having to go extremely narrow, where they're probably going to pick up the same half space as another player, or they're going to have to choose this half space, which is too wide and outside of that winger's comfort zone. So they're probably not going to do this one. So we're probably going to see a lot of overload going through the middle. They're a very narrow team as well, because they get all of their width from the fullbacks. And to be fair, the fullbacks don't really push up too much. So if they've got a good attack going, to be fair, the highest that the fullback will push is about here. They won't actually go past the box in this area here. So you won't see much of their play going down in these areas outside. They want to hit other teams on the break and cross the ball from about here. So when the strikers arrive in the box, the ball should be in the air already, and damn, and should be there.
Oh, you really are? You actually are ill.
Yeah. After joking, I really hope it's not actually COVID. But yeah, so they want to try and cross from deep so that they can try and catch the other team out for running in behind. And this is very effective in their league. To be fair, how they attack isn't extremely complicated. It's very much when they're going forwards, they are happy to risk. So they are happy to do like line breaking passes. So if they will see a forward pass to someone that will break the line. So for example, in this example here, number 6 sees 77 come short, and there's a pass on there. They'll pass through that line in between Kamada and Wharton. He'll try and turn, and then they'll try and create an attack off of it. So the actual pass completion isn't too great when it comes to how they play. Obviously, when they do the line breaking pass, then they'll have runners always going in behind. So everyone is running forwards when they've got the ball. So you got these guys that will stop around here. You got these guys who are trying to run in behind. The striker probably plays as a bit more like a false 9. So they want to look to play off of each other. So you will see times where one of the inside forwards, they'll drop in, they'll pull the centre back with them. That through pass will get played into here, and then they'll try and roll the centre back to then have this space in behind, to then dribble inside. The opposite guy will come up, and they'll look to pass across and shoot and score a sweaty goal, as they would say in FIFA, if you use that kind of terminology. They're a team that are actually trying to do the extra pass all the time, which is something that I think we suffered with quite a lot under Roy Hodgson, where we try and walk the ball into the net. That's one thing that they do like to do. They don't like to shoot that much from outside the box. So if there is an extra pass, they will always go for it, which is something that, you know, that gives us an extra little bit of opportunity to get back, and also it gives Henderson a bit more of an opportunity to set himself to go for that second strike, because he knows that they're going to pass it. The only issue is that if he, I guess, goes too early because he knows that they're going to pass it, he's going to leave the near post wide open. They can just roll it into the net. So it's like a catch-22. You know they're going to pass it, but if you go too early, then they're going to just roll it in the net. So bit of a mad one. Breaking lines, extra passes. Most of their crosses go to the back post. But to be fair, most teams do these days. And one thing that I did find that I thought was quite interesting, I would like us to maybe... No, I think that because of how they are and how aggressive our centre-backs are, I do think that this could cause us trouble. So, you know how I said all these three like to run in behind? So there will be a time and a place where all three of these players will pick up a space like this. Oh, I don't want to duplicate him. They'll pick up a space like this, and they'll all just be running straight towards the goal. Obviously, not every time they're going to follow. It's just not going to happen. However, let's just say as a hypothetical, they're doing this. They're running. Number 6 has got the ball. They're thinking they're going to hit it long. 77 drops in. Lacroix follows him. One of their midfielders pops up. Kamada maybe doesn't track him. They go out. He gets a pass in here. Fullback comes up. The ball goes back to the fullback. And then these guys start moving on again. He has a running race with Lacroix. Not saying that he's going to beat Lacroix in a running race because we know how fast he is. But because of how much they commit these two midfielders forward, because all these centre-backs are going to be covered, they're going to run all the way into the goal, and they always have two guys to pull the ball back to. So what I would say for us defending is, the main thing is set pieces is a mad one. Follow them into the box, because they will have midfielders that are going to commit. If we switch off and we allow them to do that, they're going to have a lot of shots from here. They like shooting through crowds. They are very good at it as well. So, you know, remember, they always run inside. They have inverted wingers. They have a very clever corner routine, which I'll try and explain it, but it's a bit weird. So, obviously, I'm not going to put everyone in the box because it'll just be a bit of a mess. But how this is a corner routine that they've done in 3 games that I've seen. I've only watched one full 90, and I watched the highlights for like a few other games just to see if like there's any different ways in how they attack. But one thing I did see that was one thing that I thought was a bit of a concern was they have this one free kick this one corner routine that's actually scored them 4 goals this season. And it's a one routine. And basically, it's a bit of a weird one. So they'll have one guy standing short. And obviously, you've got your player around about here to push out to go and intercept that. So that ball will come in here. And then this player will open up their body. And normally what happens is this player that took the corner will run round. They'll get that. The ball will get played into the far post, and then they'll have a shot at goal, or they'll play it back into the middle and have a shot at goal. And because of that, you know, most times the players just sort of like arc their run. They never really fully focus on this player here. They always just follow the guy who passed the ball originally. But what they do is he passes the ball to him. He really sprints over here to act as if, you know, he's the one going to be receiving the ball next. But then what this player does is they open their body as if they're going to pass it down to here, but they'll take another quick touch inside. And because, you know, as if everyone thinks this is going to happen, people push up. And then that ball, as he's run here right to the touchline, he'll then whip it back across. So he's literally, because of how far up he is, he's playing everyone on side. And because all of our players have pushed up, or all the opposition players have pushed up, they will have about 2 people in the box, and all they've got to do is beat the keeper. They'll be really close to the goal, which is one thing that I thought was quite smart, actually. But at the end of the day, I do think we've got the quality to defend against them. I think they have got the quality to score against us, but I think that our quality going forwards, our quality defending, should be able to do the job.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that was what I got from their from their league games, definitely. Yeah, I think as well, like they're obviously like one of the best teams in Ukraine. Like they've obviously got like some of the best
league
players
at the moment. Yeah,
second in the league at the moment. I think when I looked earlier, they won last season. In fact, actually, this is a good stat for everyone. They've gone 39 league games unbeaten. They went last season unbeaten, I believe. 20 wins, 10 draws, 0
that's
losses.
a very good record.
Yeah. So they're obviously a difficult team to beat, and they're obviously like one of the better teams in Ukraine, along with Shakhtar, I imagine.
Let's do some comments. Big up the dog says, "Sorry, I'm late. Can't remember if I asked you, Dan. Have you seen my list, my dude?"
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Chairman says 5% Polish beer is alcohol free.
You joke about that, but I'm pretty sure in like Russia or something, they actually like passed a law saying that anything below 8% was technically a soft drink or something.
Damn.
I mean, this was like about 15 years ago, but.
Big up Ian says big up. Dog says how much are we bringing? I think
so.
I don't know.
And the initial allocation was 2,500, and then I think they released another 1,000. They had another 1,000 like last week, and I'd probably say about maybe a third to a half of that is gone. I would say probably close to a third. So I would say in the high 2,000s, about 3,000 maybe, something like
that. Spiritual says we have 3 at the back. Their wingers will have to go out wide, which is one thing that I think will benefit us, which is what I said earlier. Damn, you're actually ill is crazy. Yep, that's what happens. People get unwell, especially little children. They get unwell. Looks like Mitchell Munoz will be the key to us having space to attack them. Dan will probably talk about that a little bit more when he talks about how they defend and how we can attack them. Don't see Dynamo causing Palace problems with these primitive tactics. Don't say that, because there's always luck as well that goes alongside with football. Yes, the tactics might be foolproof, but the players couldn't be on it. Change of conditions. Yes, luckily this is a grass pitch, not a plastic pitch like it was at Fredrikstad, so hopefully that'll be a little bit more help for us. But, like 0 degrees, maybe even minus temperatures, like anything can happen. European football is just different. So don't count them out. They're a big team in their country, in their respective league. So they're not going to want to lose. They're not going to roll over for us. They're going to do everything they can to beat us, because unfortunately, once again, we are one of the top seeded teams in this whole competition, and I really don't like that pressure. Dynamo want to get a result. They have to switch up tactics, low block, and hit us on the counter. That's probably what they'll do. So Kamada goes to the corner guy. Mitchell keeps on the short corner guy. I mean, to be fair, that's something that they could do. But to be fair, it is something that I would imagine Glasgow would pick up on. To be fair. So I'd like to think
so. Yeah.
You never know. Glasgow might say, you know what, we know what they're gonna do. We're only going to commit one of our players towards the guy who's received the ball first, and let the other guy run, and then we'll just pack out the back post, because the cross from the guy is going to come to the back post anyway. So why not just commit all your players back there and not try and stop anything else?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's something we've massively improved on is our set pieces. So yeah, I agree. I think that's something that we will have noted.
All right, cool. Let's go into the defense.
Right. So first thing I'm going to say about this is that I'm not sure how they're going to defend against us specifically, because I watched one of their league games, 1.5 of their league games, not fully, just like the bits I needed to. I do have a life. And obviously in their league, because they're one of the better teams, they obviously defend a bit differently. Whereas I watched a couple of their Europa League games last season. Shovkovsky was still their manager, so I think it is still valid. They defended slightly differently. So what approach they're going to take, I'm leaning towards the low block kind of side of it, rather than what they would do in the league. But I'll tell you what they do for both, and then we can kind of decide that at the end, right? Oh, that's a really good place to put that. What? Hang on a sec. Bear with me. The share button, like where it says like you're sharing this, is exactly where I need the ball. So if it can,
there's a little hide button.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, panic over.
Boo.
JC to the rescue. Right. So first thing to note, when they play, I don't think they defend very well, if I'm to be brutally honest. Because let's say we have the ball, and let's say we're in some sort of mid block here. Generally speaking, their attacker, whoever it is, doesn't really defend. Like, he's not like how Mateta will move from side to side to try and split the side and then force them out wide, etc., etc. Firstly, their striker doesn't really tend to do that. Why does it always do that? That's the first thing to note. So really, all you have in the middle is you kind of have something like this. And what you'll notice is, let's say we have the ball over here. Generally, they will have this shape here, okay? A 4-1-4. And that's why on SofaScore, they will display as that, because that's generally what they do. And I just think I can't work out if it's like zonal or if it's man marking, because sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Obviously, I imagine that varies depending on the team that they're playing, but it seems to depend. So, like for example, I've also seen them have a defensive shape of a more like a 4-4-2. I don't know if this would be these specific players, but I've seen them go into a 4-4-2, and then let's move our players up here, right? And then our players here, just let's say, blah, 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 something like that, right? I've also seen it where, say, a central player here, receives the ball and then one of them jumps out. So then it's kind of like a 3-3-4. I guess really to understand what they're trying to do is not necessarily to look at how they, like the numbers, like is it a 4-3-3 or is it a 3-4-4, whatever, right? I think it's to understand what exactly they want. So if you bypass their press, I'll go back to their press later, but if you bypass their press, they'll drop into a shape. Again, I think maybe the shape depends on who they play, because it didn't seem to be consistent through the games I watched. But anyway, generally their goal is to basically protect this area, okay? And the way that they'll do that is, let's say we've got the ball here and they pass it to, say, Adam Wharton or whoever it is in the middle. That player will jump out as they are facing their own goal. So if Adam Wharton's facing his own goal, this player is going to jump to try and basically get them to pass it back. And then what they want is for players to drop, and they want a situation where you're passing out wide, because that's when they will begin to press and try and get the ball. And they'll do this up here, over there, wherever. It's generally the same where it is on the pitch. You pass out wide, and when they pass, tends to be so. Mark Gay's passing the ball there, as that's in transit to Tyre Mitchell. That's when they'll press, and it'll be a man-to-man press. It'll only be one of them going there. So maybe look for something like that, perhaps, right? You won't see anything like we do, like the fullbacks really pushing up, unless one of our players pulls wide. Then you'll see them kind of track that person. But generally speaking, they will stay here. And what they'll try to do is whilst they're doing that, they'll try to block any potential progression. So what I mean by that is, basically they don't want any passes into here, or if Gay's got the ball, they don't want any passes into here. They're protecting the area. They're trying to make it difficult for you. And yeah, that's the general idea of their game. When they play in the league, so so the only stats I could actually get for them, I couldn't get XG, I couldn't get anything like that. The only stat I've got that is worth noting is that in the Ukrainian league, they average 57% possession, right? So as JC was saying, like all the things that they do, they'll find themselves over here, blah, blah, blah. They've committed players forward in whichever way it was. They'll have their players here, blah, 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 something like that, right? If they lose the ball here, again, if they feel like they have the opportunity to counter press, they will counter press. Again, I think what they want is they want you to force it back and to kick it long. They don't ever really look for turnovers per se to then try and do an attack, but like they'll try and get it so they're pumping it back down to here, right? I guess also they back their defenders aerially as well. I couldn't get any stats, but their defenders seem pretty strong in the air. And yeah, so I would say it's more of a, I don't know, like a control thing rather than a whatever thing. But anyway, yeah, they'll try and press, so on and so forth. I can't remember what I was going with this. Oh yeah, the way that they defend. So obviously, when they're in the Ukrainian league and they lose the ball, say over here, right? They put all these players back. They're expecting teams to basically sit back against them and counter attack. So the way they kind of mitigate that is that they've got their players back here, and if they have the ball here, whoever's closest to them will just try and stand them up. They won't jump in and try and win a tackle or anything like that. They just try and stand you up so then they can get these players back. And especially what I noticed was that the players who tend to be back, and they always tend to sit in this kind of position, is something like this. They always have like a 4-1, whilst the other 5 more nonchalantly try to get back. And that's generally what they go for. I think the reason for this, because obviously if you're in transition, you want to block these central areas, because if you've ever played football and you're defending, you try and force them away from goal, because that's obviously where the danger's not. And this is exactly what I think it's trying to do. And obviously, if you got, say, Mateta here, and you do manage to get an out ball to him, you've got players. Okay, maybe that guy might still be up there, but they've got players around. But obviously, it's transition. And the thing is, and this is a difficult thing to try and predict with this game, is that are they actually going to try and play like that? Or are they going to do, so like what Spiritual said and what Fredrikstad did against us? Are they actually just going to sit in a low block, which I did see them do against teams like Roma? Not as much of a low block as Fredrikstad did against us, because I don't think it's possible to have a lower block than that, to be honest. But they will, they will sit in a low block, and it depends. Like sometimes it's like a 4-1 sort of area to try and, because I think what you want, because the reason why you have that is because obviously if you have, say, like someone like Mateta there, you've got a defensive midfielder sitting, right in front of them, so that they're surrounded effectively. Tell you what, watching them is a bit of a throwback, to be honest, because it's I'm not saying it's like the tactics you used to see like back in the day, but it's not that dissimilar really. And you'll see something like that, or again, maybe they'll change it up. So like obviously Munoz, obviously likes to go forward. Perhaps they'll have a player who, then it goes into more of a 5 at the back when they're in a low block, for example. But that would only be because this player's tracking them. Okay, so obviously if Munoz pulls back a bit, then it's more like that. And that's pretty it, to be honest. Like at the end of the day, if they sit in a low block, basically, if they try and attack us, they're going to do those things I said in transition. It's going to be a more transitional type of game, and that's probably going to play into our hands. And if their manager's smart, he's not going to do that. They're just going to sit in a low block like Frederick said. And to be honest, if you sit in a low block, there's really not a lot to it. Like you just restrict the space. You try and be narrow. And like I said, I think they back their defenders in the air. So they're probably more than happy to have Munoz out wide, crossing the ball in, because they probably back themselves to win those to win those headers in the middle. I do have some bits on Paint to show you, paint.net rather. So first things first. What is... So this is what you can see. So this is what, when I was saying about their low block. So this was against Real Sociedad. And like I said, you got one line there, you got another line there. I can't remember who that is, but you got another player there using the touch line as a defender. That's it, low block, right? And I think this is probably more likely what they're going to play. So how can we change this? So one thing we could do is catch them in a mid-block shape. So this was in the Ukrainian league, so obviously they're probably playing a bit more attacking, but you can see that. So like I said, striker doesn't really bother. Got your 4 there. You got your 1 player in the middle, kind of defensive midfielder, and you've got your line there. But I mean, if they defend like this against us, I think we would run them absolutely ragged. Why? Well, I mean, you can probably see why, to be honest.
Well, yeah, Mateta will hold the back line. Sarr and Pino will drop in like what those 2 guys are doing.
Yeah.
And then I think Lacroix will be quite easily be able to find that pass from the centre back into one of those guys.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I don't know if this is like lazy defending, because the thing is, this team are a decent team in the Ukrainian league. Like I think they're top 4. I think so. Like they're a good side, but I just don't like. There's so many things you could do. Like you could ping it out there. So maybe they back themselves in a 1v1. Maybe they back themselves to get back if they did that. Like you say, you got these players here. They're not really tracking them. This player's not tracking anyone. So I don't know. Like I just find it a bit of a weird. And you got so much space to exploit there. Like let's say, for example, that's Mateta. Let's say Kamada pushes up, right? Let's say Kamada pushes up. Like I don't know. Or even forget that. Let's say that's Mateta. Sarr's moved inside, and that's Munoz. That's Wharton, Kamada, whatever. And then this is Mitchell. Do you know what I mean? Like this is very transposable here. And I feel like all this player's got to do here is drift here. You've then got this player here, because this could be, say, Daichi Kamada, moves here, and then suddenly you've got a 3v1. You got a 3v1, potentially 2 if this player gets back. So I just find it a bit odd. And like you said, I would back Lacroix just to be able to ping it over there, or so I back us to do that. So let's try and catch them in a mid-block shape. Try and draw them out, which is something that obviously we do. And if we're able to do that, again, this Ukrainian side managed to break their lines pretty nicely. So they got the ball. they're kind of sitting in the shape. And again, like what they try and do, they try and stand in the way, basically. So they're trying to restrict these. But I mean, already you can see that for a start. And they do that. And then, once you've done that, there's literally one pass and it's like you're in already. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and you can see again that shape 4-1. I don't know, maybe they back these players to do that, or maybe it is a case that obviously I think this yellow Alexandria they were called. I don't know. They already scored, so maybe they weren't committing players forward. So maybe they knew that, and therefore they could, be a bit lax with this bit. Perhaps I don't know. They were trying to win it in a mid block over here to try and spring an attack. Perhaps I don't know. But then all it's taken, obviously, this player's then going to track, is going to run back. The others don't do so much. Passes it out wide. But then, obviously, this player is going towards. But the problem is for them is that this player isn't goal side of this player. So this player is just able to run. This player is going to go there. And then suddenly, a simple pass through and your quid's in. And notice how narrow they defend as well.
Well, 27, their left wing is wide open.
Well, exactly. And I mean, I know that obviously if they did that and they got the ball over here, I get maybe they think they can get back. But, if you get into that position, you flash that ball across, there's a potential chance there at the back post because they defend so narrow in these particular situations, these transition sort of, or like these transition sort of phases. And you see that when they played Sociedad as well. Like I know that I said that they were defending in a low block, but why are they doing such a weird order? So obviously Sociedad are in blue and white. So you got their 4 players here. They're still doing something similar. Attacker not really doing anything. This player here, defensive midfielder there, and then that's your defensive line, right? And it was pretty easy. Like all they did was pass the ball here, and then basically all they've done is done a 1-2, gone to this player here, and then this player just run off. So this player here is going to run through there, run there, pass there. Oh, right, that's why it didn't make sense. Okay, yeah. So as I said, sorry, there's the wrong way around. So that player's going to go there. He's going to get past the ball. That player is going to go there and he's basically going to turn and then play a 1-2 with this player here. So one pass there, through there, and then suddenly you've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players out the game. And again, well, actually, no, that's the defensive midfielders over here. But you've got your 4 there and you've got potentially a player going to come over here. So obviously you can imagine if you see this back line here a lot, as long as you have width, you're gonna get these half spaces in the lines and you can exploit them. And especially if you've got someone like Ismail Assar and Mateta who's willing to run in behind, and Pino as well, to be fair. That's that. Finally, last thing I want to say. Sorry, they're all out of sync. I don't know why it does that. So there's a set. So obviously, like I said, they have this kind of line here. They're susceptible to overloads in the middle. So you've got 3 players over here drawing these players over here, right? This player then moves over as well to try and get the defense, to try and get like a 1v1s over here. But because of that, all you need is another player joining here. If you have your midfield 5, let's say, with this player joining in, you're able to overload them because they defend in the 4-1, like 4, and then the attacker who doesn't really do a lot out of possession. It means that if you have that 5-man midfield, if you bring another player into that midfield, your quid's in. So like it could be like let's say that is Saar, Mateta, Kamada's pushed up. I don't know, maybe let's say it's Pino, that's Mitchell, very attacking, and then that's Kamada, I don't know, maybe that's Wharton or whoever. You've got a centre back who's able to push on, and we've got 3 centre backs who are more than happy to do that. And that's why I was saying that maybe about Canvo possibly playing instead of Richards, just because I know Canvo is, like a Mark Gay in the sense of like he's able to dribble round players and he's very press resistant. Richards obviously very good, but Canvo I feel like he's just slightly better in that respect. We got 3 defenders who are, and to be honest, Richards is obviously decent on the ball as well. We've got 3 players who are able to fill that role. And, if you receive that ball here and you're just running into that space, you're going to, if no one goes towards you, then you keep running. Otherwise, you're going to draw one of these players out into the middle, right? And obviously, if you're drawing any player out, so if you draw this player out, you make that run. If you draw this player out here, you drop off here, and then perhaps you can do a 1-2 via like that, or if you're smart about it, maybe you can do that and then pass it through the middle, or if you're smart, maybe, and this player's dragged over here, you go through there. Point is that it's such a rigid mid block, and there's so much gap in between them as well that you can just, I don't know, I just feel like it's really easy to exploit. And I don't know if it's because they are playing in the Ukrainian league and they kind of think, the opposition's not that strong, so therefore, we're happy to kind of be a bit lax, and if we win the ball over here, then we've got 5 players who are happy to then attack immediately or whatever. But obviously, they were losing at this point. Maybe it's to do with that. I don't know, but I mean, the fact that Sociedad were able to do this maybe says to me, and I would say we're a similar level to Sociedad. Maybe it's a case that we can do things like this. And the thing is as well. There was one last thing. I knew there was one last thing, and this kind of leads me on to the last point I'm going to make with this, is that you can spring a trap because they're going to press you, right? You've got let's say that's Richards, that's Lacroix, that's Gay. If you've got, they want to surround this player here because obviously they want to try and win the ball there, right? I mean, we've got 2 midfielders, especially Adam Wharton, who would be able to take the ball, spin it, pass it, right? Because basically, this is what I was saying earlier about the player jumping from the 4 in the middle to here because they want to force this player back. And to be fair, they actually do. This player doesn't pass it out there or anything like that. They do go backwards. So yes, it did work. But if that's an Adam Wharton, I don't think he's passing back. I think he's passing over there. I think he has the ability to pass over there or even to there. I think because of how good he is, he does that, and I think we'll be able to spring.
I think with the look of the Green's body, I think he can make it to the guy that's fully to the right, the furthest one forwards, the one next to the ref.
Where, sorry?
Down. That one. No.
Yeah.
Up.
Oh, him.
I reckon Wharton can make that pass.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think this guy's probably in the way.
No,
but
his body's looking to go towards the one above him. If you look,
no,
I reckon
no, he's
him.
not. No, he's not. He's going there. That's what happened in the clip. He goes there.
Uh-huh.
He goes there to try and then force him back. And obviously, the closer he gets, the bigger that that shadow behind him is that he can't make it through. But the fact that we are drawing them out, because obviously if they are in a low block, we want to draw them out of these lines, right? If they're going to do that, again, maybe they won't because maybe they think that they can't do it. But I would back an Adam Wharton to find, a pass wherever, okay? To be honest, I'd even back Kamada to do it as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in short, it's hard to say whether they will play in a low block or whether they will, play like they play against Ukrainian teams. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe a low block more so, maybe somewhere in the middle.
I think it depends how the game goes, really.
Yeah, that too as well. I mean, obviously, if we get an early goal, then that's a low block game plan out the window. Equally, the longer the game goes on, the longer we get frustrated, then maybe they'll carry it on. But the thing is as well, Dynamo Kyiv were a third seed team and they played They were in the Champions. They actually qualified for the Champions League, but they lost to Paphos FC, which, if people remember, Jason Punchin played for them. They lost to Paphos FC, so they're actually in the Champions League, dropped down to the Europa League, then lost to someone, and then now they're in the Conference League. So yeah, so they so yeah, I think it depends on what they do. But I think at the end of the day, if they do go in a low block, we got to draw them out, or we got to draw them out somehow. So that's either by doing 1-2s. Thing is, if we beat players, then that's gonna spread them apart a bit. So we're going to need to try and beat players and draw them out to try and get past them.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, I reckon we've got the quality to do so.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some score predictions. So I will throw myself under the bus. I think no matter what, we need to get 3 points. We need to get off to a good start with the league phase. It's not going to be an easy game. It's not going to be a walk in the park like what people might think. I think it's going to be a close game. I will say 2-1 Palace.
I think it's going to be similar to the Fredrikstad game. I think we're going to get frustrated. And I think as well, sometimes we play crap in like midweek cup games, like on purpose. Like it's almost like we're holding back, like on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be like that. I think we will win, but I think it'll be like a 1-0 kind of not very good game, sort of win.
Yeah.
And really, we should be beaten. We should, like, no disrespect to Dynamo Kyiv, but they were soundly beaten by Paphos in the Champions League qualifying. They were soundly beaten by Maccabi Tel Aviv in the Europa League qualifying. When they were in the Europa League last season, I think they lost like all of their games. So, and obviously, like, yes, they're playing at home, but it's not really their home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's probably going to be as many Palace fans there as there are Dynamo Kyiv fans. So, yeah.
Let's go through some final comments. The dog says, I think one of Sosa, Uche, or Eddie has to play. Eddie for Pino. Then Dog, I don't think Pino will be having any of that. Just watched the 3-3 highlights. Their keeper was shocking. He's not wrong. He didn't give himself much highlights, let's say, in that game. Macapaka YT saying, I am so happy to be a Palace fan right now. Looking forward to Thursday. We have to watch the game. I've got work from 3:30 to 6:30. Visiting my mum in the hospital. Hope she gets better, man. Hope she can.
Yeah, best of wishes, Ian.
Yeah. Liverpool fans must be fuming. Fuming.
Oh, they're losing. They're actually losing against Galatasaray right now.
Oh wow, really? Who scored?
Yeah.
Osimhen.
Yes, a penalty.
Elise with assist. Chalobah with short hair looks weird. Tomorrow, all 3 home games go on sale for season ticket holders for a multi-buy thing. I think Brighton did something like that, and it went down really well when they were in Europe. I think they did like a package where it's like you could get all home games for like £60, which I think that's a really good deal.
Yeah, I think so too.
African Network doing its thing as he's. I've got no idea what he's talking about. Elise's got 2 assists now.
Sheesh.
1-0 Palace Fredrikstad, and big up yourself, Ian. Hopefully all goes well, and hopefully we get a win. So everyone's day will be much better. Cool. Dan, is there anything else we want to talk about before we round out?
Not really. Just I think just enjoy it, guys. Like, it's gonna be we're in for a good ride. We're in for a good ride, and we'll see.
Yeah. So, as always, up the palace, and I'm gonna hope that it actually ends and you don't hear me and Dan talk about how the microphone works. Up the palace.
Up the palace.
Eagles.
Eagles.